reasons that we feel it's really important to integrate science and literacy is because elementary students often don't get a lot of opportunities to read informational text. And if you think about it, most of the text that adults read in their job or even outside of their work or school in their lives is informational text. Things like newspaper articles, manuals and cookbooks, and there's some other examples.
Anything on the internet.
And most things on the internet.
Yes.
Right. Wikipedia, for example, is
advertisements.
Right, which is, yeah. So I guess the point is a lot of the reading that adults do is informational. But very often, young children learning to read are given a lot of fiction, which fiction is really wonderful and has a great place in our society, of course, but it's really important that students learn to read informational text because that's the text that they're going to need to learn from through the rest of their school career and use throughout the rest of their lives. So we hope we've provided students with a number of really interesting, accessible, informational texts on which they can practice navigating through these kinds of texts. One particularly important kind of book is a reference book. And reference books are really interesting because they contain a lot of information, but they're not read from cover to cover the way more narrative-style informational text might be read or the way that you might read a fictional book. So we teach students that reference books are used in particular ways and that there are features of them that help you navigate through them so you can find the information you're looking for quickly. For instance, reference books have a table of contents. They have an index. So you can find what you're looking for. And we actually teach students to use these features so that they can become proficient at finding information. The Handbook of Planets and Moons has all the planets in the solar system and a few interesting moons as well. And it has these, I just love these wonderful close-up photos of the surfaces of different places. There's a picture of each entire object and what it looks like. And as with most reference books, each section is organized in kind of the same way, so it's easy for students to find information. There's a little blurb at the top there. There's a section on the conditions there, so does it have an atmosphere, right? What is the surface like? Are there volcanoes? Are there geysers? Is it really cold or really hot?
And I think the really neat thing about this book in particular that makes it different from a lot of other reference books about planets and moons is that you really get a sense from these close-up pictures and these vivid descriptions of the conditions what it would be like to land there.
Right.
Like just what you would see if you actually arrived at Io, a moon of Jupiter.
Right. And then there's also a section on exploration, which ties into the theme that humans are constantly exploring space, and there's a lot to learn and a lot going on. So a little bit about what's already been done to explore that particular place and what questions scientists still have about it. Do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Sure. Some of the ways this book is used in the unit is to answer some questions that we pose or the curriculum poses to the students. For instance, when you think of our own moon, its features are craters. Well, are there craters on other bodies? Are craters common in our solar system? What kinds of objects have them? What kinds don't? And to find that, there are all kinds of resources you can use, and we do give them other resources besides this reference book. But they can look at objects from the pictures close up. Sometimes you have to look at the full body picture or peruse the text to find out that actually every solid body in the solar system has craters, including Earth.
Right, and we also, students actually have, in the Planets and Moons unit, students have what we call a discourse circle, which is a small group conversation that's structured so that students are sharing evidence with each other, and that discourse circle is about whether or not all solar system objects have craters. So it sort of behooves them to look through the book, use its text features to find information, and really sort of make a case for whether all things have craters, which is an interesting question.
And it's a lot easier for the students to find out from the book than to travel to the planets and moons.
Yes.
So this is another example of second-hand information.
Helps you save on your field trip budget.